Okay, we are live. Welcome. So today is gonna be something different, something I haven't done in a long time, which is add features to Suricata. I haven't developed. I used Suricata a long time ago, daily. If I think about it, it was more than almost 5 years ago. 5 to 4 years ago, and the last time I developed something for it was 3 years ago, so I'm gonna contribute a little bit more to this awesome open source project. It was one of the best open source communities that I have ever contributed to. It's really open community and learned a lot. So let's get down to it. First things first, because I no longer remember how to compile Suricata. It's a foundation, I think. No. Must be close. Yeah, it's only OIA. Where is it? Now I'm looking for source. Okay. It's not the same thing, but okay, it's just making stall. Let's see how many dependencies I'm missing. Probably. Because I don't want to make install, I just want to... Oh, I need to do the auto config stuff. Yeah, I remember that. I need to make the auto config stuff. Okay. Okay. They changed things a little bit. Because they had... here it is. Okay, this is what I want. Yeah, okay, perfect. Let's see. Autoconf. Okay, did it generate the configure? Yeah, that's what matters, I think. No, that's not what matters. I don't remember, because they have it for the tarball, but they don't have it from GitHub. I don't remember, this was so long ago. I can probably autoconf stuff. Or I can actually, yeah, the easiest probably, I think they have continuous integration. So pretty sure I can find yeah, they have Travis, so I can find the instructions here basically. And they added Rust, which is quite interesting. QA Travis. Okay, go back. Let's look at QA Travis. is AutoGen. Okay. They use AutoGen. Is it? Yeah, AutoGen. Okay, perfect. That's the step that I was missing. Oh yeah, the feature that I was looking at, and I sent a message to the lead developer of Suricata to make sure that the feature hasn't been picked up by anybody else. It's a simple thing, well, at least I hope it's simple. It's open, assigned, where's the assigned? Add filter, here it is, assignee is none, and I think it's a feature actually. Where's the type? Probably Strucker. So it's this one here. I think it's gonna be quite easy because I assume all the code is already there, because it's basically, there are two ways of supplying BPF filters, Berkeley packet filters, and one is by using a file on the command line. So you run Suricata with -f and then the BPF filter, and that works. But if you try to supply on the configuration file on the BPF filter fields a file, it fails. So I think it's just a question of adding that functionality when Suricata is parsing the configuration file. So all the code should already be there. So I'm just gonna dive into it. Let's run configure and see what libs we are missing in order to compile, properly compile Suricata. Let's go back to travis.yaml. So for Linux, if we want to have Rust enabled, so many times when you want to start in a project, contribute to an open source project, you have to dive into how to compile it and how to what code to look at. It's easier for me because I've already developed for Suricata, but one of the advantages of nowadays everything making use of continuous integration is that if you want to learn how to compile a software, in this case in GitHub is usually travis.yaml, in Bitbucket it's pipelines.yaml, and you can easily understand how to do it. So let's see. So if I run so it's Travis QA. Oh, I might be missing libhtp. I don't know if they moved it into here. Probably not. You're welcome, Oliver. So what was I looking? Oh yeah, QA. Let's look at QA Travis. No. The other one. Travis libhtp. Okay. So potentially I need to get this as well. need to get the libhtp, which is basically a library that Suricata uses to parse HTTP. It's quite an important library. Okay, this is the job, so it just has to... But it didn't... I did generate the configure. Okay, that's because there's an error. Okay, so this is basically the regular expressions library that is missing. Lib pcre dev, if I remember correctly. No, that way it's not gonna work for sure. No. So once again, you could potentially also find it by using Google, but this way is already here. So is pcre3. So let's also make sure. So what we want is this. Okay, let's add all libraries. I'm just gonna have a copy of the repository for libhtp, and you can potentially also, if you want to spin up a Docker container somewhat based on this, on these configurations. It's quite easy to derive a Docker container from this. I'm only pulling the development libraries because usually they just get pulled anyways, the non-development versions. So with Magic, this is for the file handling to match files and stuff. Is one of the features of Suricata file extraction that can be done with the Magic library, file Magic library. So let me just refresh things. And I think, yeah, and this is for parsing JSON or generating JSON as well. This is also quite important. And I'm gonna look at the cheat ignore. Where is it? Travis. Most likely, yeah, libhtp. So I'll have to check out the source code for libhtp into Suricata. Otherwise it's not gonna compile, at least not properly. Hey Barney, how's it doing? All good? Thanks for joining, eh? Yeah, I still need to run configure. Hopefully now all libraries are, all dependencies and libraries are ready, and I can just compile it. Yeah, let the trolling begin, eh? I have no problems with that. At least not from you guys. I wanna, yeah, it's missing Rust. Okay, let's compile with Rust. I could, yeah, let's compile with Rust, doesn't hurt. Actually, what am I doing? I'm in Debian. Yeah, my development machine is a Kali, so it's Debian, but my entire infrastructure that I run, it's Fedora, so sometimes let's see if now the configurer is able to successfully complete. No, there's still something missing. Tool are not found. Gee, this is all new for me. Because can I do this without having to be root? This is all new, and I'm pretty sure this is related with Rust. So basically what the Suricata team developed was bindings for Rust so that they can, in an easier and more secure manner, create protocol parsers, because Rust is a memory safe programming language. So that's yeah, pretty good, because then you don't have to worry about your protocol parser, which can be quite tricky to implement. Is you don't have to worry that it is memory safe. It doesn't overflow all over the place. And Rust is also actually quite fast, I think. So you don't have that much performance penalty. Yeah, that's true, Barney. I could, as I was saying, I could easily, based on this, create a Docker container and then SSH into the Docker container and develop from there. Not SSH, run a shell on the Docker container and run from there. Actually, they have Suricata does have something on the QA that leverages Docker. Yeah, indeed. It's for their build bot that validates a bunch of pcaps and checks if is regression testing basically, and checks if everything is okay. I think I even have it here as an example. Where is it? I thought 12 checks okay. Where is it? Oh, maybe I need to be logged in to see it. Okay, doesn't matter. Let's see. Wow, this thing is taking longer than potentially. Yeah, because it's also building Rust. So anyways, let's have a look at, while this is running on the background, at the feature that I want to contribute to Suricata. So the first thing I'm gonna do is search for BPF filter. It's been a long time since I touched Suricata. Okay, it's per packet acquisition method. That's already a good thing, because I can show you here. Where is it? Suricata YAML. So this is the Suricata configuration file. Hi there, Figer. I hope I pronounced your name right. So if we search here for BPF filter, you can see, because there are many occurrences, there are 4 occurrences, because it's per acquisition method. So Suricata has many acquisition methods. You have AF packet, you have raw pcap, you have PF ring. What else? You have net filter as well with the queues, and the filters are applied per source. So we have to see in the source code. Yeah, you can see, for instance, pcap, AF packet, PF ring. So you can see here that the source code for handling the BPF filters is spread all over the place. Net map as well. Okay. Yeah, it's all over the place. And this one is potentially, because they say that you can supply the BPL filter as a file in the F option, which means there is some option handling code, and here it is. Set BPF string, which takes what looks like command line arguments. Thanks for the follow, Figer. Thank you. So how? So I'll have to leverage, I'm pretty sure. Where is it parsing the BPF? Here it is. This is the one that matters. Set BPF string from file. So this is, I'm pretty sure this is the one that is parsing the BPF. And then it sets the configuration globally. Well, not exactly globally, but Suricata, I think, only supports running or capturing packets with one mode at a time. It doesn't support you to like capture packets with like pcap and then AF packet. It doesn't work like that. So it's basically setting the BPF filter for the specific run mode that you selected, the capture mode that you selected. But what I'm seeing here, and I'm not particularly happy with it, is that for each run mode they seem to be replicating code, and the code doesn't seem to be exactly the same for every single run mode. So let's have a look at it. 365, 294. Okay, this is close enough. Source pickup as well. So I might just, one of the first changes that I might do is just make this one function, one utility function that then is used all over the place instead of having replicated code. Okay. Thanks for the follow, Insolent. Let's see if I still remember how to set path environment in Linux. Thanks for the follow, it's a prank, bro. Or brew. Nothing like printing it out. This is Windows, no? Maybe this is the Windows syntax. I'm so rusty. Yeah, that was the Windows syntax. Okay. So export. Actually, like this, I think. Yeah, perfect. So let's run configure again. See if this time it doesn't complain that Rust is missing, and then we should be able to compile it. It's looking good, yeah. So now we have a little bit of a summary of the features that are enabled. Yeah, I don't have PF ring. It would actually be interesting to have an FQ, or at least, yeah, but anyways, pcap is there, so I can always test with pcap. So we have magic, we have also the NSS and SPR, JSON is there, PCR is very important, no Lua, so we don't really need to compile it with Lua. Interesting, Python as well. That's probably for the scripts. Yeah, for Suricata CTL and Suricata SC. Yeah, it's looking good. So let's just, I don't know how many CPUs do I have on this virtual machine. Yeah, only 2. So jobs equal jobs 3. And it already failed. That's because libhtp is not configured? No, apparently not. Okay, so let's see, think configure. libhtp is really cool as well. It's one of the craziest libraries I've for parsing HTTP, because the amount of attention to detail and to avoid like bypasses, and it's really cool. So I'm just compiling it because it's one of Suricata's dependencies that is not usually available on your distribution of choice, but now it should work anyways. Jobs 3, let's see. Now it's just building Rust things from what I can see with cargo. Maybe might not have been such a good idea to enable Rust, because if it delays the compilation that much, because sometimes I don't like to use incremental builds. Depends on the project. Let's see. Anyways, I was looking at source code. So this is clearly parse pcap config. So this is the run mode initialization code. So this is the only thing we have. This is one for parse afp config. So it's a little bit different already. You can see that it's already a little bit different because it does a check that isn't done with pcap. So that needs to be fixed. And this is also coming from where? Interesting, because for the same run mode we have two different why is that? It might be related with how AF packet is configured. So it sets the BPF filter. So as I was saying before, when you start contributing to a project, an open source project or any other project in reality, you really need to dive into the code and try to understand what the hell is going on, which sometimes might be quite overwhelming. So it's but it's a very, very, very important first task. Otherwise you change code and you don't understand the consequences, you're just introducing more bugs. Well, some say that just coding is introducing more bugs, but we want to avoid all of that. So it only occurs once, from what I can see here. So I don't really understand why they have it repeated in the same file twice. Maybe it's a mistake, maybe it was something that was left behind. It doesn't seem like it because the string comparison is different. Okay, this I'll sort out afterwards. I'll understand a little bit better afterwards. Oh, here it is. Actually, it's interesting because PF ring has straight away the two combined together. Because this check is more or less what is happening here. And it's interesting because here they are using string dup, which I assume is a duplication, is duplicating the string, but here is straight assignment. This one here is also straight assignment. Let me check if they have any more reference to this. Yeah. Okay. We definitely need to sort this thing out. Okay. This one is the same thing. Okay, I think so. As I was saying, one of the first tasks is to actually unify the source code for parsing the BPF filters, because there's a lot of weird things going on. So how to start with this one. First I'm gonna try and find a file that would make sense. All files in Suricata that have... Sorry. So my OBS decided to cause a major crash. Anyways, I can tell you, using an external GPU is not the most stable thing ever. So I think, yeah. So getting back on the horse, proverbially, of course. What happened here? Okay, what I was doing? Yeah, I was looking for... Yes, indeed. I was looking for a utility file. Okay, so here we are. So we have util BPF, which looks like a good one, a good candidate. We have also util-conf. Okay, which is configuration related. Let's see if this time I don't have any other major crash. Otherwise I don't know, I'm ditching this eGPU setup, I don't know. It's kind of annoying sometimes. Oh, like eBPF, that's different. Extended BPF probably, or something like that. Okay, that's new. Or yeah, it's new probably. Well, it's new in the sense that I have never seen it when I was developing for it, for Suricata. I'm wondering why this is not available when you have OpenBSD. It's curious. It's only used on two run modes. Okay, probably because these run modes are not available on FreeBSD. Yeah, it's likely. Okay, if I have to add any extra code, I would add outside of this. Otherwise it won't be able to compile. I'll add it here because this seems to be very config generic related. I can also have a look at other, because I don't want to add another util file. Suricata is already the list of source file / header files is quite extensive, so I don't want to be adding anything else, any more files to it. So anyways, this is not gonna be the first iteration of this feature, because it will have to go to be peer reviewed by the Suricata developers, and for sure they'll find problems with it. So I might just go with it and add the code here and instead of trying to find the most adequate location. I was also, let's see if I can find it. No. Up layer. So that's up layer. It's the only occurrences? Oh yeah, probably. This is one of the things that I developed for Suricata, which was support for the exforwarded 4 header. And it had a bunch of utilities as well. Yeah, it went straight into util misc. Let me see what util misc has. And this was also my predecessor, so he started the development and then I finished it and added other features like support for logging on the JSON format that Suricata generates. Okay, it's better probably to look at the header. Okay, doesn't look like the most adequate one. I'll go with this one. So let's close these ones. Let's what am I doing? Let's open the run modes, AF packet, netmap, pickup file, which other ones were? So pickup file, actually not pickup file, or is it? No, yeah, pickup file for sure. Netmap, pfring, and AF packet. Where's pickup? Run mode pickup, pfring, and netmap I already opened. So it's again if we open Gedit just as a scratch pad, just to see what are the variations of this configuration parsing code. See if we can make this a little bit cleaner than what it is. Oh wow. Interesting. This is for the eBPF. Because in any case this looks like an actual file already, so we're not gonna touch this one, just the BPF filter. So this is exactly the same code. Yeah, this is exactly the same code that we have here, so I don't really care. This one looks different enough. And this is different enough. Doesn't. Interesting, this one doesn't have any filtering. So you have, maybe I open, oh, it's source pkf file, not run mode. Okay, so it's in the source pkf file. It's here. Yeah, it's the only occurrence. So let's copy this here. So I can BPF filter. So there's quite a few variations. Yeah, those are the only ones. But it seems to be more or less always boiling down to the same type of code. It doesn't look like it's gonna be too much of a pain. We then have to also understand what is the use cases for each one of them, and make sure that the code can handle them, the common code can handle them all. So, but before that, I need to understand a conf. Hopefully this is gonna be a generic configuration, or at least somewhat generic configuration structure. Pick up face. I might not be that lucky. Well, I might also not need to have it for it to be generic, because I can just return a string or something like that. Yeah, it's different for each one of them. Yes, there's a different structure for each one of them. I think I'm just gonna use the... I think I'm just gonna use this one as an example. Or maybe this is a bad example because... It's okay. Okay, that looks good. So this temp... So what we need to do is create something like this. I'm pretty sure. And they call it SCP BPF. This is one of the things, trying to understand why is it called SC. So what I'm gonna just call it BPF. And maybe parse config, something like that. Because if we look at the temp BPF, it's basically a string. So we can just say I don't know if they... What is the naming convention that they use for this type of things? And I'm pretty sure you have to do the reference here. Okay. One of the things then that you also have to concern yourself with when you're contributing to a open source project is to maintain as much as possible the coding conventions, because once you contribute that code not only becomes property or part of that software, but also other people will have to maintain it. So if they have a specific coding convention, you should definitely follow it. Otherwise it's not gonna work for other people. Or your code just simply gets rejected. Actually, the easiest way is actually if I have a look at the conf get function. And here you see the documentation as well. So we can copy that over. They use v pointer that will set. So you can just pointer follow the same naming convention. And then we say this, so parses the BPF filter from the Suricata configuration file, and then for the longer description, this function. So our idea is to this function BPF filter configuration option BPF expressions. So we can take these ones out. One if successfully. Hopefully that's it. One will be return is okay. Anyways, I can improve this a little bit better afterwards. So this is the idea, and it might be tricky to actually do this part, support the files, because you have to distinguish between a BPF expression and a file. So I'm thinking maybe there's some functions already in Suricata that checks if a file exists, if something is a file. I might need to be very careful with that one though. In any case, let's look at our scratch pad. Where is it? So the most complete code looks like this one, or at least the most function-wise. I'm gonna do this as well. Interestingly enough, they don't check to see if this is null. That's something that I need to worry about. They don't even check if the name is null. Well, I guess it's because it's not user input, so it's never user input, so they don't really need to check if these things are proper. Which is fair enough, I guess. So what I want here is this one. So I declare this. I need to find where this thing is defined. Probably is some macro. I had to choose the one that doesn't have it here. Anyways. So this one is done. So let's look at this one, see what, compare them both. So this is the same, this here is the same. Can I zoom in this? And then we check if the length is higher than 0. We do unlikely, which is okay. So this is the basically assigning already to the configuration. Okay, so this would be our result basically. Yeah, and then we just reference and make it equal. So this would be our result. Interesting. So it returns 1 if the name is found, otherwise 0 will be returned. Okay, so if we already defined on the configuration the BPF filter, which only happens if you use the command line parameter, then it doesn't do it doesn't do anything. It just goes. We need to check the command line, because the command line filter sets this as already a BPF, so it does all the parsing, I think. Which is this function, set BPF string from file. It sets, yeah, it already sets it as a BPF filter. So that's all good. Need to check if I want to have this. And I need a lot more things here for sure. Okay, so this one is okay. So if it's different from 1, which is this case here, equals 1, basically the same thing. So I can just do this. Okay. This is the same thing. Yeah, exactly the same thing. So that's okay. This is a tricky one. So it's this case here, and it straight says, so for the pcap file is interesting because for the pcap file run mode, it's expecting you to actually provide the BPF filter, apparently. Okay, I might need to dive into this one a little bit better. So aconf, yeah, this doesn't do much. And then this is exactly, yeah, this is exactly the same logic. So if it's different from one, oh come on, it's different from one, it fails, otherwise it stores it. And then yeah, so the only one that is a little bit different use case is this one, which I need to double check what the hell is going on here. So but now I want to just fix this code before anything else. So let's see where that thing is. So we need to provide the if root. The default we don't, but definitely we need this anyways. And this is no, this needs to be provided, I'm pretty sure. And also I need to figure out where the hell does the unlikely come from. Util optimize. Which is not here. Probably if I had to guess, it's from the debug. No, actually not. Interesting. It's coming on the sources, util mem copy. Okay, so it's more than one. Well, let's just try something. No, so it's not this one. Maybe it's Suricata. No, but Suricata common is already there, no? Yeah, Suricata common is already there. Mem copy. So sif, we just care about include files. Ah, it should be there. Okay, so maybe it just needs to be compiled, probably. Don't see why. Ah, okay. Fair enough. The problem is another problem. It's not the definition of the macro, but the parameters that I'm giving to the macro. And also this one is not gonna work. And this one is not gonna work either. Okay, so I just need this one. Ah, interesting. So here we are saying, so this is the problem. Here we are saying, we are basically saying to the compiler, okay, this is unlikely to happen, but still like check or something. And it's basically saying, okay, we can't allocate memory. But here on this macro, it already does that. So do I actually... God damn it. Suricata, you kill me sometimes. Okay, so I have to check which one of these... yeah, that sucks. Which one of the... if this is old code that is no longer needed or not. Because here it straight up exits if it's not able to... but wait. If it's in the Suricata init stage, okay. Only. But that's when the configuration file is parsed anyways. So this will most likely always happen. So I actually don't need this. Let me see which one came first, if it was the chicken or the egg. Not this one, sorry. It's this one. Let's see. View cheat blame. Oh man. Oh, sorry, my bad. This is 9 years ago. Okay, so this added missing a lock treatment. Okay, so it was 6 years ago. So definitely we need this, because this was already there 9 years ago. And then Eric came and added this. So Regit or Eric LeBlanc is one of the main Suricata developers. So definitely I need this. Yeah. It might have... He might also only added this because Suricata string dupe didn't have it. So we might actually try to check when did the source code for this function change, or not function, macro. I closed the wrong one, didn't I? As usual. Yes. So let's see. No, it's been long before that. 9, 10 years ago, 10 years, 8 years ago. Yeah, so forget about it. So definitely we need that. It's one of the cool features of GitHub, that if you want to see the changes in a condensed way and try to understand what came first, what came after, do I need to change this? Is it outdated code that has been supplanted by other code? Git blame or Git blame is awesome. Really, really good. So we definitely need this. So that's staying. Let's try to compile. Oh, before I compile, I need to change them. I hate changing these files. I think it's the makefile in. No, that's an ignored file. Makefile am. I think that's it. No. I'm pretty sure I need to include... Oh, I don't need to include because it's not a new file. Yeah, never mind. Forget about it. Make error straight away. Cool. Oh, yes. Because my computer decided to crash. And now I don't even know where it is. Let's see if I can guess it. Jesus. What am I doing as well? So it should be probably cargo, no? Or CD something. He's complaining that the CB, so it should be cargo bin, I think. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Let's try again. Okay. Oh yes, because it's not returning. Just make sure it returns something. Also, conflicting types. Yes, indeed. Didn't change the header specification. It should work now. Yeah, it's linking, so that's good. Now, we need to know when to return zero. That's one of the cases. And the other one would be this one. Actually, I'm gonna do it the other way around. I'm gonna only return 0 at the end. It always returns, well, what would be the equivalent to false, and it only returns 1 when it succeeds. Also, I don't know if Suricata, I don't remember if Suricata uses this convention where instead of having return statements all over the code of the functions, you have a variable that has the default value that you want to return, and then you only change it when it needs to be changed, and then you return that variable. So I'm just gonna have a look again at this function, for example. Okay, that's not a good example. What about this one? Okay, so they just use the return. Yeah, it seems to be the case. So yeah, okay. I'm sticking with the convention. Don't want to be reinventing, changing the coding style, programming style. So we still need to check this specific use case. This is when it's basically checking if the BPF filter is command line provided here. Is this use case here? But then this one is a little bit different. Actually, this matches this. One of the things I want to know is if they free this string. They don't seem to do it. Okay, what I'm gonna do is just double check that they release this string. Yeah, they do. So it's here. Yeah, okay, so was thinking maybe I have to double check every time whenever I change a run mode if they are going to release it, because I'm not releasing it here. So I need to be sure that the cleanup code for all the run modes does the cleanup for me. Otherwise we have a memory leak. I'm gonna just do some notes as well. Unfree. Non-deallocated BPF string, and also I think I can put kick this can down the road, because I don't think this has any impact on the code here. It's just a question that this mode, if it doesn't have a BPF filter configured in any shape, way or manner, it just dies if you don't provide it by using the Also, this is a different way of returning status, but they don't use it in all the functions. Probably it's just for... Okay, I also have to double check this, because here they don't also use it, they just use integers. They don't use a specific macro for it with a specific exit code. So we need to check if we need to use it as well. So this is the basically the to-do, just to double check. So it's all good, I think. So what I want more. Now I want to start changing the actual code of the run modes to make use of this common function, because then this is the function that I'm going to use to say, okay, of course the command line parameter takes precedence, so I don't do anything in there, but in here also I have a problem here. Anyways, as I was saying, I need to check here. For example, basically I need to add the file check. So here I need to check if this is a file. The BPF filter returned is a file, and act accordingly. Which might be tricky, because if we look, where is it? I erased it. I closed it, not erased it, closed it. Come on. Yeah. I might not be able to use this function as it is, because conf set final is gonna, because conf set final, this function is called before you ever get to parse the specific run mode BPF filter. So, and it makes use of this function here to set this. So when we call this, it triggers this one. It goes into this if straight away. And just by the name, it looks like you cannot change it. You cannot call it twice to change the value of this as well. That's another, might be another problem. Yeah, tricky this one. Okay, so another to do. Behavior. Actually, what I want is this one. Because it uses conf set final. Because if it is a file, let's say, let's assume it's a file, if true, right? It's probably, does it work? Yeah, okay. So if it is true, then I definitely, for sure, want to reuse this function. There's no two ways about it. This is way, yeah. So I do this, right? and I do this by providing the BPF filter, because this is supposed to be the file. So if this is a file, then we do this, we check the return. So if equals 1, then we succeeded in parsing the file. Okay. Man, and then we have to get the, because it's the problem of this function. Oh, I cannot even call this function actually. Oh man, because it's only on the Suricata C file, which I'm pretty sure doesn't export the function. Oh no! This sucks. Ah man. Why you treat me like this, Suricata? Okay, let's have a look at Suricata H. What does it export? Run modes, common variables, pre-init. Yeah, potentially I can export that function somewhere here. Or I can actually where am I? I can potentially, since this is a BPF, it's BPF related, I could potentially move this function here. It does have the need, this one does need pickup open dead, which might not be a good idea. Starting to look like I'm gonna have to move these functions from the Suricata C file to the util-bpf file. And then I'll have to change it for, instead of having this, to actually return because it has the free here for the allocated one. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm setting the final value. Why don't they just return a string with the BPF? Oh man, that sucks. Okay. Okay, I guess first things first. I have definitely need to move this one, these functions. Suricata.c. Suricata common, we had a look at it. Okay, it's mostly include files, some macros, yeah. Set BPF string. This is a lot more changes than I was foreseeing that I would need to do. So what's going on here? Oh, okay, whatever. Oh man. Anyways, it is what it is. I'm not sure if this is an actual... Yeah, because it might actually screw up the includes, because it might need a lot of includes from other files. So when... Actually, what I mean, sorry. So when I include the util BPF, by adding these functions here, I'm adding a lot of other dependencies that might make me need to add extra include files all over the code, which is not a difficult thing to achieve, but it's something that I don't want to do because it just is annoying. Anyways, let's test it. Nothing like seeing what happens. This cannot no longer be static. And this one as well can no longer be static. Let's just see how many errors I get. Okay, so I got it only on suricata.c. Not bad. No, well, it was where it was used in the beginning, so... But now if I include the util BPF, let's hope I don't have to include many more. This looks like a good place. Let's see how it behaves. No. Warning, perimeter discards const. What? This was a straight in copy paste. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah, this is a... Why are you complaining? Oh, you are complaining because I screwed up the... Oh. It's void. Void value not ignored as it might ought to be. So basically I did something wrong when I copied the code, that's for sure. Where's the change? I think somewhere around here. I cannot see the change. No. Oh no, this is in my own code. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, that wasn't very smart. Yeah, it doesn't even return anything. It just goes like, yep, this is not gonna give any errors. So let's just. Yeah, now it should work, I think. Yeah, with the warning, but should work. So char const char. It's because of this. It's discarding the constant operator, so I have to do this probably. And then it fails on the other one, which is great. Needs to be a constant. Oh man. Anyways, let's leave it as it is, because this code also needs to change. So I just want to have a look as well on suricata.c. It just goes straight into, doesn't even validate anything. Because it okay, so I cannot use this function as it is, definitely. First it needs to return a value. The status value as does set BPF string. Let's have a look. And this function is called in this huge mess, which is the main function, I'm pretty sure. Parse command line. So, and this is also on the parse command line function. Yes, indeed. Yes, yeah. So first he calls this one. And then it calls this one, which is right at the end. Basically what I need to do is this. I don't know why they do it like this. Sometimes they change the coding style, but let's keep it like that. And then I don't need the break. And this needs to become an integer. Yes, just the return, exactly. I want to just do the return. Oh, what am I doing? I could simply do a regular expression to replace all of them, no? That would have been easier. Let me see what codes does this. Okay. Instead of using the exit code, let's use this one. because that's exactly what it's done here. So we do it, we check that the value is different than OK, and if it is, then we have to return it as a failure. Okay. Instead of using the exit exit function. And so, where is it? In here. This way we can actually do that if this is different from, or is equal actually. I want it to be equal. Then we need to know yeah, because I need to change this. I need to find a way to actually make this proper. Otherwise it might not pan out very well. Because we are trying to parse the configuration. Set BPF string. Set BPF string. I think what I'm going to do is call this parse BPF string from file, and it's a internal function to this module or to this source code, to this source file. But then I need to figure out how to do this freeing of the filter. Might not be a problem actually. Because what I want here is to receive when I call this, instead of calling, I want to have the parsed BPF filter so that I can just assign it like this instead of calling conf set final, because that just sets the configuration but it doesn't initialize my result pointer. It doesn't store the result on the pointer, and I don't want to be calling again conf get BPF filter. It's kind of retarded. It's not good coding style, or well, not coding style. It's not good way of implementing this functionality. It's a little bit weird. It's backwards, I would say, not retarded, backwards. That's the right word. So it's basically I'm parsing the configuration, but then I set the value here, but then I have to get the value again here. It doesn't make sense. So basically this is gonna be static int parse BPF file. One of the things I need to change straight away just by looking at it is this one. Parse BPF config. So it's more or less set BPF string from file, and parse BPF config. And this one can be closed. bpf from file. And basically what I'm going to do is copy all of this, because this is the major part of the code. And then I need to sort out, so I need the file name, which is okay. This can also be a const, doesn't change. So this can be const, and that gets rid of the error that we, or not the error, the warning that we were having when we were compiling, when it was being compiled. Thanks for the follow, OJ. How's it going? All good? Or just give me a follow without... You're not on the stream. Okay, fair enough. Hey, how are you doing? Good? Bun, no. At most I would make him a mod, but I'm doing good, and you guys? Yeah. C rules. So as I was saying, okay, what was I doing? Oh wow, that's cool. What oh man, that's cool and crazy at the same time. But like climbing walls, as you how should I say, like technical walls, or more for the height, or yeah. The other day I was checking my neighbors, because we also have lockdown. Well, not as aggressive as in many other countries, but we also have orders to stay at home in the Netherlands. And I was looking out my window, and I saw neighbors exercising on the balcony and whatnot, and I was like, Jesus, I'm the only lazy one. Oh, okay, just yeah, today is bank holidays as well for me, so I might just, after the stream, eat something quick and just go out, because it's also quite the sunny day. We've been having a lot of nice weather here. Parse ppf from file. So what I needed to change here? Yeah, I'm changing. So you have Suricata, which is an intrusion detection system, and in the past I developed for it because I made a lot of use for it for network security monitoring, and it's been like 3 years, I think, a little bit, almost 3 years that I haven't submitted or contributed to it. So I decided to pick one of the easy features that they have here, and as you know, there's never an easy feature, but yeah, to contribute another thing for it, to the project, and it's one of the, I don't contribute to many open source projects, I think maybe 3 or 4, but it's one of the best open source communities that I've been involved. Yeah, it's cool. Spreading the knowledge is also nice. I learned a lot from your streams, that's for sure, especially when it comes to binary exploitation. because that's not really my forte, let's say. So all the challenges and whatnot. So true. Yeah. When are you planning the next one to still do the a CTF, or are you going to focus on the interpreter? It's been a long time. Okay, you're saying, okay, no, sorry. You're gonna do a binary one over the weekend. Yeah. So, I was saying, so just to summarize a little bit the struggle that we are having now, is, so this feature is related with Berkeley packet filters, sorry. And it has to do with the fact that there is a difference in the functionality of Suricata, which is if you provide the F option to Suricata, it accepts a BPF file, or aka a file that has a BPF filter on it. But in the configuration file of Suricata, if you provide that same file, it goes like, oh, I don't understand what you're talking about. So basically the idea is to make sure that the Suricata file, configuration file, also supports BPF specified by using a file instead of the actual BPF expression. So I noticed as well that the source code for handling these sort of things, which is here, so when it gets the configuration file, is duplicated all over Suricata, because this source code is basically per running mode. Suricata has many running modes like AF packet, PCAP, PF ring, all these sort of things. Yeah, more or less, yeah. So basically what I did was I'm reusing a file which is util.bpf, and I moved the parse bpf config function here. I moved all this duplicated code which is different in between run modes, which is something that we don't want either. So I created this common function, and I moved the code here. And now I was looking into, okay, so when we are actually parsing the configuration file, we need to double check if the BPF filter returned is a file. If it is, okay, so this doesn't have the check yet, but so if it is, then we need to somehow parse the file and whatnot. So the good thing is that Suricata already has set BPF string from file, but yes, it's true, yeah, no shadow of a doubt on that one. Yeah, especially because then you have to be aware of a lot of things. So I'm taking some notes to double check when I finish the first version, because this will have multiple iterations. It has to go to be reviewed by the Suricata devs and whatnot, so it's gonna for sure have multiple iterations. But just before I submit the first one, I have to double check all of these things, for double check that the strings are all being deallocated afterwards, and be aware of different requirements and whatnot. Actually, Suricata is not too bad, especially when it comes to the protocol parsing stuff. because they have let me go back. They have here the QA. Basically, they run Docker containers that runs a bunch of the PCAPs against the protocol parsers and against the Suricata to try and identify regressions and other types of vulnerabilities or flaws. So it's not too bad. This is actually, well, I say recent when I only the last time I dealt with this was 3 years ago almost. So anyways, so the problem here with this function, which I promptly copied from the Suricata .c file, is that and this is already me doing a lot of changes, is that here we are trying to get the configuration value, and this function, what it does, instead of returning a string with the BPF filter, it sets the configuration file, sets the configuration variable. So when I'm here calling get the BPF from file, okay, it works, it sets the configuration file, but then I want to have this value already here. I don't want to go back and call confget file or confget BPF filter, which it's backwards, doesn't make much sense. So that's what I'm focusing right now. Okay, and I need to change this by creating basically a specific function to parse and another one to set it to straight on the configuration. So we can handle both use cases. The use case where Suricata just wants to set the configuration straight away, and the use case where we want to get the actual BPF string without any issues. So I'm just gonna use the same technique I used here. No, not here. What am I doing? I'm a little bit lost. Here. Thanks, man. That's really cool. Thank you for doing that. You don't need to, eh? But thanks. Thank you very much. So parse BPF from file. And basically this is what we want to return. We return all the error codes. And basically this is it. I want to take this one out. Oh, okay, so I have a little bit of a problem here, I think. Because this is dynamically allocated here. So I need to be sure that I clean it afterwards. Let me just double check again the code. It's interesting because if the BPF filter length is less than 0 or is 0 or less than, in this case it's gonna be only 0, it still returns okay. So I don't think we need to care about that one. So that's done. Now the next one I need to change is this one. So what I want to call is exactly so this is this one here. I want to call because it doesn't have any different failed is just failed or okay, so I can just parse bpf config, parse bpf from file. Oh, I wrote it wrong. pbf, that's not anyways, file name, and then we parse a reference to bpf filter, and then basically I need to do the where is it? Oh, I need to double check because I always want to do this. And then I just double check here if the string length is something, and we return this. No, not here. So if they succeeded, so if we succeeded in parsing the bpf, if we succeeded parsing the bpf from file, then we check the len. If the len is bigger than 0, then we try to set it. If it doesn't work, we quit and we free the buffer. And here, either way, if he succeeds, we free the buffer as well. But this can only happen if the buffer is different from null. And the buffer in this case will only be different from null if the function succeeds, which is here. Interestingly enough, yeah, but we still need to double check. Or I can just say let me double check the original source code. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking of moving the string length here back here, but then I want to check if I should return an error code here or not. Here it is. Because it only sets if it's so this is what happens. But then, because if this happens to be 0, then this will be null, and I cannot call this one here, even though I'm returning tm encode but this one only fails if it fails to set. So I can always set what I'm thinking, conf set free. So I set the variable so I can because I'm trying to understand. The problem is not, so when the BPF filter is null, it doesn't exit. Oh, not null, sorry. When the BPF filter is empty, it doesn't exit. It just goes like, okay, we don't set the variable. So basically, so I just want to call this if this is if the function didn't fail, and VP blah, blah, BPF filter is different from null, because if this, in this case now we return, we only return if there is anything to be returned. We always free the buffer that we allocated inside this function in case of error, and normally, okay, probably a bunch of errors to correct. So that's a problem, yes. Okay, that's the same problem. That's the same problem. Now I need to change this, I think. Int parse BPF config. Oh yeah. It's different name. I changed the name. And okay. So you're saying if parse BPF from file, so if it returns an error, no, well, I see where you're getting at. Let me see. Suricata.c. Let me see what I do after that. I do return, yes, so it does break away if it fails. So set BPF. Yeah, I need to do that. I need to do that. I need to do that. Yeah, it gets bubbled up into the because this function is only called in the Suricata initialization or parsing command line commands function here, and that needs to be bubbled up because then Suricata needs to exit if it failed to parse the supplied BPF filter or BPF file. Yeah, no worries, man. It's a good tip because this would be a bug. So yeah, thanks. parse ppf from file. So if something something, okay, so this is the success condition, failure, so we need to add another failure one. Okay, so it's probably easier if I do like int ret. Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm thinking. That's probably easy if I do that. Just this. I don't think they like it like this. Usually their coding style is to declare the variables on the default value. In this case I don't really need, because it's only returned one time. So if I do parse ppf from file, and that's okay, then I just do this. Yeah, it depends. I think, I don't remember exactly. I know that they probably are doing this on this specific function because ret is used all over the place. So maybe it's easier for them just to identify, but anyway, as I said, yeah, it's coding style, so I want to keep it as much as possible in between their following their coding style otherwise. Because in the end, I'll maintain part or this code whenever there are bugs and I notice that there or people complain about it. But in the end, I'm passing responsibility by contributing. I'm passing responsibility for this code to them, so it's only fair that we follow what they do. So what was I saying? Yeah. Actually, I don't even need to do this. I need just to do this. If I wasn't fat fingering things, it would be a lot easier. So I get this. If it's okay and we do have something returned, then we try to set the configuration. If it fails, then does this. We always free the allocated buffer. Same story with any OS project, right? The bug stops with the official maintainers. This is why we in Rapid 7 are pretty draconian. Yeah, it is, because everybody has their own personal taste, but in the end, if you are going to be the one maintaining the code for the foreseeable future, you want the code to be like something that you understand and that you can read. Otherwise, it's painful. So yeah, this looks good, I think. So I parse. Let me have a second look at this. We might return OK, even though we are returning null, even though the BPF filter is null. Because that doesn't make much sense, does it? But I did that for a reason. I did it because here they don't care. In the original source code, they don't care. They just go like, yeah, it's empty, we don't set the variable, but it's okay. So I'm sticking to it, but I'm adding here Okay, man, thanks for coming. Enjoy your evening, and talk to you soon. Cheers, bye bye. So as I was saying, the function does not fail here, since this isn't I'm struggling not to want to fail the function here, even though they on the original code they didn't fail the function. Okay, I'm gonna add a note, because this is notes for PR. So basically the original function doesn't fail if the parsed PPF filter is empty. This is no longer the case. So I might need to double check with them if this is something that they want. 3439. The original function doesn't fail if the parsed PPF filter is empty. It simply doesn't set the configuration option. Let's make this a little bit smaller. So it doesn't seem this is no longer the case if if it's no longer the case, then it's the opposite, so that's okay. So here basically what I'm going to do is, if it's bigger than 0, then yes, do this. Else, I'm wondering if I should I have to add also some documentation here saying that you are the one responsible for freeing this specific the BPF filter returned. Otherwise it might not be clear to everybody. So here I return the BPF filter value. I need god damn it. In this case I wouldn't. Yeah, I need to call. Yeah, I have a problem here. Interesting, because it's freeing the memory. That now is the problem. So if I do all the allocations and blah blah blah, yeah, this is a problem. Either I completely delegate it or I don't. But I somehow need to I somehow need to in any case it's null, so you free it. So if every time I fail I need to free the BPF filter, and that's it. There's no two ways about it. So here if I fail I need to free the BPF filter. I hope I'm not screwing up. Yeah, it's just double check that they use spaces instead of tabs. Yeah, they use spaces instead of tabs. Okay. Otherwise you get to the, oh my god, there's a bunch of tabs or spaces or a mix-up. So I want to do this, and if I do this I cannot free the buffer, but if it's not, then I need to free the buffer and return failed. So here it only returns okay if the buffer is if we return a BPF filter. Yes, and then here we only call free if, like this, if it's different from null, and if that is the case, yeah. Okay, that's it. Okay, so the documentation from this function need to say I'm gonna put it in my notes. Basically, so parse BPF from file. Oh, I changed the keyboard layout. Highlight the need to free BPF filter, or actually v pointer in case of success. So they need to for sure always free it, otherwise we take care of it. Otherwise, if it's not failure, we take care of it. If it is failure, we take care of it. If it's success, they have to get rid of it. And in this one is, so I parse it, then we say if it's okay, then we try to set the configuration. If not, if this failed, then failed to set BPF filter, and we say this. We change the return val to fail. If the BPF filter is different from null, then we have to free it. Yeah, looks good. Then we have our parse BPF. So instead of calling this, let's assume I'm gonna call this BPF filter file, right? And I'm gonna do a parse BPF config. No, my bad. Parse BPF from file. Here I need to provide what I think is the file name, and here I need to provide this. Bloody hell. Okay. I'm actually gonna call this something else. I'm gonna call it BPF temp. I'm gonna call it BPF temp. This is BPF temp. And if BPF temp is longer than 0, so there's something there, we're gonna check if this is a file, and if it is a file, then we do this. Okay, and that succeeds, so the BPF is set. So we can do otherwise, our BPF filter becomes our BPF temp, because if it's not a file, then it's a filter itself, and then we want to do the rest of the code, and we want to do this. Otherwise, if parse BPF from file is different from, or if it is okay, then this should contain the BPF straight, no questions asked, right? Yeah, exactly. Should contain the BPF filter, so we don't need to do anything else. And we don't need to free the BPF filter, because this is going straight into and then they are the one who's responsible for freeing this. Okay, I need to add something here. Is Fred or Fried or anyways. English is hard. Yeah, it's Fred. No, that's F read. Yeah, it's Fred. Note that a pointer return needs to be Fred. Fried, not Fred, Fried. Otherwise, memory leak occurs. So in this case, if it is okay, we don't need to do anything. But if it fails, actually we need to do because we are only returning 1 in case of success. By default it returns false, which is in case of failure. So and in this case here, so if it fails, we don't want it to get here because BPF filter will be null. So we want to do so it failed. So we just want to return 0. And I can merge this up. So if it is a file and this equals failed, then do no more and just straight up return 0. Otherwise, we assign the BPF filter to be the same value, or well, pointing to the same location in memory as BPF temp, because that means that it's the actual BPF filter and not just a file. Otherwise, if it is a file, then it will be automatically set by this if it doesn't fail. And yep, looks good. Let's see how many errors I have. Just warnings, I think. Well, no, or an error too. Error, conflicting. Okay, it's complaining about the const. There's another error. So let's see, it's in Suricata this time. This statement may fall through. Ah, yeah, my bad. In line 1653. I removed the break that I shouldn't have. Because this is a loop. Yeah, looks good. Well, no compilation error doesn't mean no errors, but so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pause the stream for now. Well, stop the stream for now, and I'm gonna have something to eat because I'm a little bit peckish right now. My stomach is turning a little bit over, and the next time I pick up on this, I'll review the code that I wrote with a fresh head, just to make sure I'm not already doing a lot of wrong things. Review the code flow and all these sort of things. Also need to then I'm gonna implement the check to see if it is a file, and if it is a file, I think the main logic is implemented, and then we can start a way to do some actual tests and see how it goes. Hopefully it should be okay. As I said, this is not a very complex feature to implement by itself, but the dependencies, all looking into the source code and seeing what makes use of the feature, understanding all the work, the code flow, understanding all the cases, all the use cases for that specific, for every single specific function, and seeing what consequences it has on by changing the code is very, very, very important. It really takes a lot of time, but that's how you develop codes that is proper. Takes time, takes a lot of thinking, a lot of testing as well, and as if you rush code, then quality, as with many things in life, that reflects quality, that rushing is reflected on the quality. Sorry, my English is not the best one, I guess. So anyways, thanks to everybody that watched, thanks to everybody that came. It's already been almost 4 hours, I guess, of stream, so I'll stop for today. And thanks for all the follows as well. Just to give the shout outs again, thanks to Figer, Insolent Fool, It's a Prank Bro. It's very nice names, and thanks also for OJ. Thanks Barney for coming as well. Have a good weekend and have a happy Easter all. Cheers, bye bye.